Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at Jumpspace, what it is in Traveller, how it works in Traveller, how your jump drive gets you to Jumpspace, and how you return from Jumpspace. Just some general questions on how the game mechanics work as far as dealing with Jumpspace, what you can do when you're in Jumpspace, and who's outside the ship when you're in Jumpspace. Today on page 121. To understand Jumpspace in Traveller, you have to understand how the maps are laid out. Each map is laid out in a sector, which is 4x4 subsectors. Each subsector is broken down into hexes. These hexes represent parsecs. So that's how you know what you're looking at when you glance at a Traveller map. The next thing you're going to see on most Traveller maps are going to be these lines, the green lines that go between worlds right here. What do these represent? Well, there we are. What do these represent? Those are jump routes or mains. I've chosen spinward marches because that's an area that I think a lot of people are familiar with. And I wanted to show that this is what you're jumping. So if I'm doing a jump 2 from Broeen to Ferry, that's a jump 2. There's my jump. I'm going 1, 2 hexes. Each hex equals 3.26 light years, or 1 parsec. That's the unit of measure the Traveller uses. So each hex is worth a parsec. So I'm going to explain how you get into Jumpspace and what happens while you're in there, and what you do when you come out of it. Okay, you're taking a look at the Mega Traveller Referee's Manual, and you're saying, wait a minute, today's video is supposed to be about Jumpspace. Why am I looking at the Referee's Manual for Mega Traveller? The answer is there. Jump Flash. That's a ship going into or coming out of Jumpspace. Each ship causes a flash that is visible, but is also able to be picked up on gravitic sensors. So I just chose this one because it's one of the best depictions of Jump Flash, in my opinion. I understand that might not have been the artist's intention, but I've always assumed that was Jump Flash. If anybody knows differently or has a different opinion on that, please let me know. But I chose this because there's not a lot of depictions I can use in any of the sources to show how it is when you come out of Jumpspace. So what is Jumpspace? Jumpspace is basically really hyperspace. If you're familiar with Star Wars, and I'm sure most of us are, they use hyperspace. They travel through hyperspace from point X to point Y, and then they come out. During that time, depending on your author, they are isolated and can't talk to the outside universe. Now, Babylon 5 also uses hyperspace, but in Babylon 5's hyperspace, you can actually fight actions and receive messages and pretty much interact. It just helps you move faster from A to B. So, and then of course there's Star Trek, which has warp, where you don't actually leave our universe, you simply go faster than light. So Traveller uses Jumpspace. And when you go into Jumpspace, your ship opens a little wedge into Jumpspace. You're surrounded by a little jump bubble, and in you go. Jumpspace is basically another dimension where you have created a little self-reality around your own ship. And this reality keeps the ship safe from the rigors of hyperspace, Jumpspace, and also allows you to traverse the Jumpspace. This allows you to go a further distance than in normal space. So basically it's a form of teleport. It's really the best way. When I teach my players about something like this, I usually run it back to D&D terms, and I like to discuss teleport in that case. So it's really just a form of teleport. You vanish from our universe, and 168 hours later, which is 1 week later, give or take a few hours, you reappear in our universe someplace far away from where you left. That's the entire idea of jump and Jumpspace. Now, I said I was going to say what Jumpspace was. Well, I fibbed a little bit. Nobody's sure what Jumpspace really is. Is Jumpspace just another dimension of our reality we haven't perceived yet? We have the 4 dimensions in our reality, which are depth, width, height, and time. And then we have maybe other areas we just haven't perceived yet. So is Jumpspace that? We haven't really left our, quote, reality, unquote, but you're just in another level of it. Or have you truly left our universe gone into a little pocket dimension that your ship has created, are escorting through this other space, jump space, and coming out the other side. Again, nobody's really sure. Now, the fun thing about it is, Traveller's not really sure. In the original books, it was just a lot of hand wave technology, and off you went, you're in jump space, and then you reappear, and poof, you're good. I'm fine with that. That's pretty much as far as I go to it into my campaign. If you want to go deeper, more power to you. It's just nothing that I felt I needed to really elaborate on for my players. In Mongoose's current version, I'm going to go ahead and pull this and put the Mongoose book in front. This is the outstanding, the Core Rulebook Update 2022. And here they talk about jump travel and how you use it in the game. So jump travel is the method which ships can use to travel the enormous distances needed to journey to other star systems with relative speed. And then there are alternate versions of Jump Traveller and to Jump Travel. I'm only going to discuss Jump Travel and Jump Space today. It's the only known means in Traveller that you can go faster than light. To jump, the ship creates a bubble of hyperspace by means of injecting high-energy exotic particles into an artificial singularity. What this means, you create a little bubble around the ship. Once the bubble, which is roughly egg-shaped, comes into being, you then squirt out of our universe and squirt into jump space. Now you're in jump space. You are traversing that. You're in there for 168 hours, give or take. So usually about a week to within a few hours of that. It's funny, too, because even that has changed in iterations of Traveller. In the older versions, you could be up to 20 hours on either side of that. So it's kind of neat. And Mongoose Traveller has made a business of boiling it down to more clarifiable numbers and quantified things, which I like. I like the tightness that Mongoose Traveller is bringing to things like jump. So you can only safely jump. You can only safely enter jump space when you are more than 100 diameters distant from any object larger than the ship, or you have to be out of a gravity well. This makes it kind of interesting because, for instance, if you're 100 diameters from Sol, Earth's sun, you can't jump from Earth because Earth is still within 100 diameters of Sol. You'd have to actually move away from the sun and then make your jump. That's kind of neat, and it brings up some interesting things for your game. How close to the planet can I jump? Where did they place the starbase? Based on jump shadow, basically what's blocking me from being able to go into jump. So it's kind of neat. When you prepare for jump, you use your astrogation, and then your engineer does his rolls. I'm not going to go into the details on that because that's going to be very issue dependent or edition dependent on what you do. There is something neat, diverting power, also called jump dimming, where you basically have to divert so much power to the jump drive that the jump drive itself, it draws so much power that you don't have power for other ship systems. So jump dimming, they would literally dim the lights. No coffee for you while you're going into jump space. We have to shut that off. Any extraneous systems would be stopped, and then off you go into jump space. Now, modern ships and higher tech level ships are designed so they don't need to engage in diverting power. They can just go to jump. But it's very possible that your travelers will be in a ship that will have to divert power. And by the way, one of the other things I like about Starship Operations in current version of Traveller is the granularity that you get for your power, where you have to allocate your power, how much your power, how you generate your power, how much it costs. It's pretty neat. So when you make a jump, use an amount of fuel equal to 10% the hull tonnage for each parsec jumped. In the example given, a 200-ton ship makes a 2-parsec jump. That would be 40 tons of fuel. 10% of 200 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40. So it's pretty straightforward. We're not going into a bunch of percentages here. We're not going to, it was only 39.5 tons needed. No, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to say it's 40 and we're going to be done with it. Jumps are pretty neat. When you're in jump space, you're isolated from the universe. No one can reach you, even psionically. Nobody can contact you. You can't contact anybody else. If you have a problem with your ship in jump space, you are on your own. You have to figure out how you're going to deal with that problem. I love that about Traveller. You can go into jump space knowing one thing. When you get to your destination, it's completely different than you thought. So one of the fun things about Traveller can be doing an adventure while the crew is in jump space. For example, I did one where they were aboard a ship. It was a larger ship with a lot of passengers, and on board the ship with them was a type of predator alien, like from the movie Predator, where it could camouflage itself and not be found, and it was picking off passengers and things like that, and the party, of course, had to stop it, all the while trapped in jump space. You can put a xenomorph aboard a ship when the ship is in jump space. Now you've just created the atmosphere of alien. They can't get out. And one of the other things I love about jump space is that we don't know what's beyond the hull, beyond the jump bubble. There could be everything beyond the jump bubble. We don't know. It could be a universe of giant shoes. It could be cats playing with balls of yarn. We don't know because we can't see beyond the jump bubble. So one game I did, the player characters were in jump space and they heard something clawing at the hatches, trying to get in, and desperately clawing at the hatches, trying to get in the entire time they were in jump. It freaked them out. And when they got out of jump space and were able to inspect the hull, they only found one scratch by one of the hull doors. So was there something really out there? Was that scratch there and something they didn't notice? I never told. And I'm not going to tell now because honestly, I don't care. It could have been monsters in jump space. It could have been just something to freak the players out. It depends on how you want to use it. So when you're in jump space, you're there for 168 hours, give or take, and then you squirt on out back into our universe. You retain the velocity and the heading that you had when you went into jump space. Sometimes you're not facing the same direction, so you can go into jump space facing forward, planning to go straight to the planet with your retained velocity. When you come out of jump space, you are facing away from the planet you intended or 90 degrees to it or whatever, and you have to make a course adjustment. That's part of what you do when you come out of jump space. Now, you also have a thing called misjumps. Rare occasions, usually through lack of maintenance on refined fuel or just bad luck, you can misjump. Misjumps are pretty neat. Don't use them too often. They can be not universe changers, but campaign changers. So your misjumps can go from anything from you've gone to jump space, you've spent the week there, you come out and you're in the exact same place, you never ever went anywhere, or you've misjumped, you're in there shorter or longer, and then you come out you could be as much as 10 hours early or 10 hours late. You could also jump further. A true misjump, if I was jumping, say, 2 parsecs, I could come up to, in a bad misjump, a very bad misjump, I could come in out of jump space up to 36 parsecs away. And bad news for me, by the way, if there's no fuel source. So it's kind of neat. I like what they've done with jump space. I really like how the rules have been fixed up in the current Mongoose iteration, where we know a lot more about how to get in and out of jump space. One interesting thing, by the way, one way you can tell if you're in a misjump right away is a lot of people start running for the bathroom. A lot of people on board will get sick and wolf their cookies, and that's how you know, there's a problem. I'm in a misjump. This could be a problem. So you get a week to sweat it until you see how bad the misjump is. The next thing I want to talk about is a micro jump. A micro jump is a jump where you jump from one point in the same solar system to another point in the same solar system. Why would you do this? Well, if it would take me 10 days to travel in normal space, end space, by my ship's drive, I could shorten that by taking jump. I could shorten that by 3 days by going to jump space. So a lot of systems will use jump drive and make micro jumps. There's no inherent risk to it. There's nothing dangerous about it. It's just something that you end up doing. The other thing I was discussing was, what is the jump drive? The jump drive, really, the bulk of it is given up to the fuel needed for the jump. The jump drive itself generates a tremendous amount of energy to create the singularity which surrounds the ship and sends you on your way. Or it can be lanthanum laced throughout the hull, and then that can create your jump bubble. So the jump drive itself is not like the warp engines in Star Trek. Well, I guess it kind of is actually like the warp engine in Star Trek, in that you're seeing a hunk of equipment, but without knowing what it does, you really wouldn't know what it did. So taking a tour of a starship and seeing the jump drives is a lot less exciting than you would think. So the only other things I want to talk about are jump ratings. I'm on a jump 3 ship. What does that mean? That means that I can jump 3 hexes. So 3.26 parsecs times 3. So that's what, 9.78 parsecs, just doing the math off the top of my head. 9.68. 78, whatever. So you get the idea. So if I'm going to jump 1, I can only go 1 hex. 2, 2 hex. Jump 3, 3 hex. Jump 4, 4 hexes. Jump 5, 5 hexes. Jump 6, 6 hexes. Jump 6 is the highest allowable jump in Traveller right now. Theoretically, the science behind it is that it takes more energy because the weave of space is much tighter the higher the jump you go. So to get into this weave, you have to have more energy and you have to have a more capable drive. That's why the jump ratings are what they are. Now, Traveller uses jump drive, I think, to great effect because news only travels as fast as jump. And this can have a tremendous impact on your game. If you wanted to introduce instant jump or even a limited time jump like in Star Wars, that would radically change everything that's written for Traveller. Traveller is written around you being in jump space for a week and being isolated. I don't recommend you try introducing alternate drives to Traveller unless you want to put in a lot of work on the official Traveller universe, or if you're going to do it, I would recommend just creating your own universe. It's easier to simulate some of the stuff on TV by doing that, but I've always loved the 1 week of isolation that Jump Drive gives you, and I just feel it's a good, healthy way for Traveller to deal with interstellar travel, and I've always used it, and I have no plan on changing it. So that's really all I've got to say about jump drives today. Again, the reason this ties into the major races is, of course, the major races by definition are the 6 races that made jump drive on their own. They invented it themselves. They did not get it handed to them by another entity. I just did a video on that released in the last couple of days. So if you want to take a look at the major race video, go right ahead. I'm not going to recap it here. But that's really all I have to say on jump travel in Traveller. I recommend it highly. It's a lot of fun. You're on board the ship for a week. You've got nothing else to do. You may as well party. You might want to pay for high passage if you're going to be a tourist in space. One of these days I might do a video based on levels of travel in Traveller, and some are way better than others. But that's all I've got to say today for page 121. If you have any comments or polite criticisms, please leave them below. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. And thank you for turning to page 121. I'll see you next time.